What's going on, people? For a second there, I kind of got lost in thought because I was thinking, like, did I do all the back end stuff on this thing? Like, so there's like a description and all that. I feel like I did. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. It's too late now. I already started. Well, it's not too late. I can edit it while this is happening, but as far as I'm concerned, it's too late. I'll deal with it when this is over. Anyway, so got two boxes of shoes here to open up real quick. First, where's this thing here? So leading off, we'll go with the Jordan 11 because it's the one that came in first, and I like to do these things in order. No particular reason, it's just what I do. Now, if you've seen like my history of reviewing Jordan things or whatever, or just things in general, you'll know two things. One, the Jordan stuff does not really rank so high as far as popularity for me, right? I usually get a lot of other stuff. What's this from? JD or Finish Line? JD. JD is where these came from. Kind of forget sometimes. So yeah, it's not a big thing for me, right? It just never has been, never will be, because I like stuff that's a little bit more wearable on a regular basis, a little more comfortable. It's kind of one of those things. But I do think the Jordan 11 is kind of cool looking. It's not like my favorite, but I also don't dislike anything about it either. You know what I'm saying? So when they do the holiday ones, I usually pick those up, and occasionally, like other stuff throughout the year. But I don't think I've picked one up in a while, right? It might have the last one might have been the what was that the 7210 low or the Space Jam low, whichever one was more recent, or maybe it was that white and red one. When was that? Was that recent? I don't know. I'd have to consult the archives, people. I have no idea what came out when. I just know that I saw these things coming around, these gammas, and I don't have any sort of history with these. I don't really didn't know what they even were 100% until somebody like told me. It's like, oh, the gammas are coming out. I'm like, and that would be what? Like, it's black. It's got a little bit of blue on them. Oh, I've seen pictures of those before. So here we are, right? I got the early access thing through JD, and so that's how I bought them. Which had I been thinking about it, I probably could have used some of those dollars or those what do you call them status points. Probably taking like $20 off or so, but whatever. So, anyways, let's go ahead and look at these things. It seems like everything's fine as far as scuffs and whatnot, which is kind of a surprise. But once I get looking into it, then we'll see for sure. One more time. This right here, Jordan 11 Gamma, but I'm sure everybody knew that. Down across the bottom, that's what things look like down there. Looks pretty all right. I do like this sort of like it's kind of like a blue sort of color, but almost like grayish in a way. I don't know. And then you have this lighter blue sort of aqua type of color going on the heel and on the front. All in all, it's kind of a cool look down there. And you kind of see through it a little bit. Yep. But we got to move on here. On the side, not a whole lot really happening. Same as the inside, it's all kind of just the same down there. And then lining all that stuff, you got all that patent leather, right? Which is kind of a thing that they do on these 11s. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's shorter. I don't know if that was just a thing over the years, but it's a thing that I've heard people talk about. So I don't know where this stands. It looks high to me. I don't know. But that's what's going on there. As far as the rest of it, you got this ballistic mesh. That's a word I learned from Logan J. He goes by the sneaker professional. This ballistic mesh thing going on up here, right? It's kind of a cool word, I guess. And then on the front there, around like all the tongue and stuff, you have the same thing. Just down in the middle, you have what says Jordan, I believe. Because I used to be all confused by this because I was like trying to read it across, but it's actually like up and down. So I was like, oh, now this makes a lot more sense. Makes an understanding as to why they did this. Is when you see that sometimes. But anyways, moving on to the back end here, little jump man guy going on there, little 2-3 happening right there, and then on the inside, not a whole lot. You can barely even see that because it's mostly blacked out, but you do have a gold jump man down in there. There he is, kind of peeking through, right? And some of these thick black laces, which I do like the laces that they give you on the Jordan 11s. I don't know, they kind of remind me of the Yeezy laces in a way, because they're like thick like that, but they have this braided sort of appearance to them. Kind of gives them a step up, in my opinion. So it's a minor thing, right? Just something that I think visually looks kind of cool. And then down on the inside, they've gotten a little cheap over the years, people, or very cheap over the years. And so now you just get this little paper down on the inside. You used to get these little plastic shoe trees and stuff, that kind of like match the color of the box or the color of something, I guess, depending on the release. Like if you think back to, at least for me, think back to when I first started with these in the 2016, 2015 was my first pair of 11s. Yeah. So they had this nice presentation, little slide out box, this plastic stuff in there. It's very cool, you know. When you spent all that money, it gave you some idea that okay, I'm going to get something cool out of this. Now you spend, I think, technically more, and you get significantly less. But you know, whatever. That's just the world we live in, I suppose. Anyways, I'm gonna slip these things on real quick, and hopefully they still fit true to size, which means that this 9.5 will work out just fine because you know I'm a 9.5 size foot dude. That's been working out pretty well. I will say some things, you know, especially like the basketball shoe world, can feel a little bit big to me. So lots of things I'll like go down a half a size just so it's not so roomy and awkward feeling. But I think the 11s have been pretty. Yeah, this is working out fine. Yeah, the 11s have been pretty okay. I do have some that are nines, you know, like lows or highs or whatever the case may be, and they did feel fine, but it was unnecessary to like make that size adjustment. It's not like was it like the nines I think it is that have like the inner thing and maybe the eights. Those you might want to like definitely stick true to size or go up because like the way they're constructed. But these, I will say, I got this in a 9.5. It's feeling fine for me, but it is a little bit like slim, like front to back, you know. So what I'm saying, well, side to side, excuse me. So what I'm saying is like on this outer area where like your pinky toe is going to be and all that stuff, you don't have a whole lot of room down in there, which I feel like hasn't been the case on other ones, but I haven't worn a pair in a while. But either way, for me, like the true to size thing is okay. Like just barely, you know. Had I gone like down a half, I would have a problem right now. So I'm glad I didn't. But I'm thinking there might be a lot of people who would probably want to consider going up a half a size, which is kind of weird, you know. And I don't know if it's just like maybe these are like laced fairly tight. Sometimes out of the box that can be a thing. But given the feeling of it, I feel like it's more just like the dimensions of the shoe than anything about the laces. So I'm trying to make this adjustment real quick. And yeah, I think it's just like the shoe itself. So yeah, and I'm not wearing like any of my thick socks. I'm wearing some features. I don't know. I think it's like the light cushion ones, perhaps. But either way, nothing crazy down there as far as the socks go. None of my like thick ones or anything. So yeah, hopefully, you know, people knew their sizing of like 11s and stuff before they like went into these. I feel like it's probably mostly a consistent fit for the most part. And I would also think that anybody going after these has already done their homework as far as like which ones to get. But if you were kind of on the fence and just hoping for the best, you know, well, you can let me know how that worked out for you. Hopefully it played out okay. All right, moving on past that. So yeah, that was the 11s that came in from JD for $230, I guess. Sounds about right. I mean, it doesn't sound right as in fair, but it sounds accurate. I'll say that. All right, now one last box. And then after this, I got some videos to record, some pro wrestling crate things, and a couple shoe reviews, right? The Vomero Premium, which will also feature the Pegasus Premium. And then the, what's that? The Kipchoge Vaporfly 4. That's what's on the agenda after this, right? Okay, so where's the side of this? What is, oh, that's weird. So it's sideways here. This is the Harden Volume 10 is what they're calling it, right? Okay. I don't know what this design is. Oh, actually, it does look kind of like the shoe from what I recall. Oh, and there's something over here. Got that, right? So that's something. So many moons ago, sometime back in June-ish, I think, I put a question out there asking people like, wait, how am I gonna? I want these to fall out. Okay. I put the question out there asking people like what shoe, like basketball shoe I should get for my cousin because he needed some basketball shoes, right? And I refer to him as a kid in the thing because, you know, it's just kind of how you phrase things sometimes. And people really latched onto that piece. Like, how old is he? Like, it's like, doesn't matter. What is a good basketball shoe, right? Speaking universally across the board, what is it? And a lot of people were like the AE whatever one, I guess it was at the time. And then some people also brought up this, which I guess would have been the 9 at the time. But as it turned out, I couldn't find any of the nines of these, not in the color or the size that I wanted. But I did find the AEs, and so I just figured, all right, I'll just get those. So those are right here in the store. I have some discount codes to use when I use those, and so things worked out pretty well, right? I was able to save a little bit of. Oh, this is kind of cool. I was able to save some money, which was nice, and he really liked the shoes like a whole lot, which is also nice. And now I had thought about getting like the two because because the one worked out. But I figured like I'm gonna go with these because let's switch it up, right? I feel like this should work out pretty cool. So I will say this: these things, just right off the top, this is a pretty cool look. It looks different in the pictures, but I didn't really like zoom in and flip through them. I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Anyways, let's talk about it. This is the what does it say? Adidas James Harden Volume 10. That's what we're looking at right about here. All right. Down across the bottom, right? See all that stuff, right? It's all very much the same, front to back, top to bottom, all that, right? Looks like it's going to be very nice as far as like grip and all that stuff. I don't know what under no one means. It does have that somewhere down on there. There you go. Under no one. Whatever that means. Is that like a thing that he says? I don't know. Does he have like a phrase before he goes and powers up and like slam dunks on people or something? I don't know. I don't really know anything about the guy. I know nothing about basketball in general, really. Anyway, so moving on. As far as this upper goat, wow, this is like not as stiff as I thought it might be, which is kind of a good thing, but it's very flexible. I was thinking this might be like a foam posit sort of thing, but it's because again, this is my first time actually having a pair of these in hand or whatever. But it looked like it was going to be solid like the foam posits, but it's not. It's like it's got some give to it. So that's interesting. I'll be. Anyway, so you got this whole swirly little circle thing going on. That kind of goes all the way around, right? And then on the front piece, it kind of splits down here. It's got a little bit of green peeking through and all that stuff, right? Which the build of this in a way reminds me of one of those Yeezy 700s. Which one was the alienish one? The volume 3? V3, which I guess will be version 3. Anyways, kind of reminds me of that. And then up as you get to the top, got a little bit of a pull tab here. And this is kind of like I was just talking about with like what was that? The 9s and 8s and stuff, like the little inner sock liner thing. So on the 9s and the 8s, the Jordan world, right? Those do end up feeling a little bit more snug, kind of like the Hirachis in a sense, right? So it's often people go up half sizes on those. So hopefully this holds fine at the true to size thing. But I don't know. It seems like this might not be like a full on liner, perhaps. I don't know. I'm trying to get my fingers down in here and see. But we'll see. I'll find out later this week. Luckily, I'm still going to be like well within the return window, so it's not a big deal. I'll find out, come Christmas time or something, how these work out. But it is kind of a nice construction, though. It seems like it's high quality. I can't see like ripping or anything like that. So, yeah, these are actually like pretty nice, and they were only like what 160. Got some cool little green tips down there on the bottom, right? So all in all, like I like this a whole lot more than I thought it would. And the other selling point on these, I just got a little reminder when I happened to look at the bottom. You can kind of see it down in there. It is boost based, right? So I don't know. I think it's boost. It could be light strike, I guess, but I can't really remember exactly. They were using boost at some point, and I feel like they still are, but I'll have to look that up for sure. But that, in my personal opinion and experience, has led to some pretty good feeling things as far as like lightweight comfort, just all around good feeling. So I'm feeling pretty good about these. Like they look good. The price was pretty all right. They have a track record with a lot of people is like doing well. So hopefully this works out for dude, I'll figure it out later. And if they don't, well, sometimes stuff doesn't work out. That's why people have return policies and exchanges and all that stuff. And I will just deal with it then. But whatever. And I'll let you guys know how that plays out if you happen to care to know. Just follow, I don't know, I guess my little community area where I make the posts and such. But for now, that's everything, right? Cool. So do a quick little recap of what I sat here and talked about over the last 15 minutes. Let off with this one right here. This is the Gamma Jordan 11. Pretty cool, right? I've never been like super excited about a pair of 11s, honestly. I like the 7210s a lot, but every other pair has just been like, yeah, it's been fine. Those navy 11s that were lows with the gum bottom, but those were like, I mean, that was like 10 years ago. I did like those a lot too. But lately, I don't really find them like anything amazing, but there are some that are pretty nice, and this is one of those ones that it's pretty nice. The black with a little bit of blue back there. This is kind of an all right look to me, right? I know they have some sort of legacy and stuff, but again, it's kind of lost on me. And then moving on, talked about this for a minute. The James Harden, the Volume 10, right, from Adidas. Very cool. I like this look a lot. I'm curious to see what kind of colors they bring out later on and whatnot. So depending on how these work, that's good that this back piece is like pretty stiff here. But yeah, so depending on how these work out for my cousin, like maybe you'll see other colors of these pop up over the next year or so. Well, color. Probably won't buy him like as many shoes as I might buy myself. Not because I'm selfish, but because it just doesn't make sense. He doesn't go through. Well, he'll use them a lot, sure, but I feel like this is kind of one of those things where you want to get it broken in and then like make some full use of it. Whereas like with my running shoes, I run different stuff like every day, and I run like 4 days a week, something like that, right? So it's a heavy rotation, mostly just to go with like the different colored sunglasses and whatever that I have, or just whatever I'm feeling like. If it's a rainy day, if it's a cooler day, if it's maybe I'm just feeling like Adidas that day. Whatever. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I got to knock out 4 reviews real quick here. Hopefully real quick. I don't want to be sitting here talking all day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do that. Anybody who happened to watch this in the now or in the later, I do appreciate your time. So thank you for that. And I will see you guys at some other point in the future. That's not the end button. There's the end button. Later, people.